Hey guys, it's Pat again with Pat's Home Projects and More. And today we're going to be doing a project that I've been putting off for about a year, and that's to replace this storm door. As you can see, it doesn't want to stay closed. It's been in one too many windstorms, so we're going to get it replaced. All right, let's get started on it. Okay, so one of the things that we have to determine before we start putting the door together is whether this is going to be a right hinged or a left hinged door. Now, one of the ways that I was always taught how to do that was if you stand up against the hinge and you reach out and you open the door, whatever hand it is that you're opening the door with is what it is. So I'm using my right hand now. So this is a right hinge door. If the hinge was on this side and I was opening the door this way, it would be a left hinge door. So we're going to be using the right hinge door application on the instructions, and the instructions are very well laid out. The front page is doing it a right hinge, and on the back side is if you're doing it a left hinge. Okay, guys, so the first thing that we're going to have to do is get this existing door out of here. And for this particular door, we just got some trim. I've had this door in for probably 20 years, maybe a little less, maybe 15. And I've milked it to the end. I've had to replace the hinge side before because I get a lot of wind coming from the southwest, and that catches the door and blows it open. So if it doesn't latch in right away, it acts like a sail. Another suggestion I'm going to make is because you're going to be driving some long screws into the wood in that, is make sure you have a good bit on your drill. If it's a couple years old and it slips a little bit, put a new one in there. Last thing you want to do is get a long screw halfway in and strip out the screw. So makes it a lot easier. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get this cleaned up. While I'm doing that, I'm going to take you to another job that I did the screen door on and just point out a few things for you. We'll see you in a few. Okay, guys, so this is another storm door that I had installed, and I just wanted to point out some of the differences compared to the way that my door is going to be installed. On a typical home here, you're going to have this brick molding that goes around the edges, and that's what you're going to attach your frame to. Um, with this, a couple things that you want to look for before you install is that you want to make sure if there's any um, joints that need caulking, you want to go ahead and get those caulked. You might want to even consider repainting this area before you install all the framework. And then one of the big things that you can always run into is towards the bottom down here. If you're in an area that gets a lot of snow or a lot of rain, you could potentially have some wood rot down here. So you want to make sure that the wood is good and solid. and that there's no rotting before you put it in there. If it is, you can easily buy these at your local hardware store, the brick molding, and put new in. You don't necessarily need to do all the pieces. If you have just one that's rotting, you can just redo it and then just repaint uh, the brick molding, do your caulking, and then go ahead and install your door frame. Okay, let's get back to my door. Okay, guys. So when I was at the hardware store picking up this door a while back, one of the first things I ran into was a gentleman that I could see that he was under a lot of stress trying to figure out if this was something that he was going to be able to install or not. And I gave him a few pointers and showed him a few things, and even after I left, he was still a little hesitant. I could see in attempting this, but um, I just wanted to put this video together just to really show you that these doors nowadays they're very simple for the most part. I'm sure there are some storm doors that are a little bit more complicated to install, but for your general everyday residential home, they can be installed by the homeowner, and they require very few tools. So let's take a look at what we got and how we're going to go about getting it installed. All right, so this is the door I'm going to be installing. Again, I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that. This is I have these doors put in all my entrances at my home and at my parents' house, and they're very good doors. So this is what we're going to be installing. And as you can see, it requires very minimal tools. Pretty much anything that somebody has at their home. Now, there's a few things that you could use that will help out a little bit more. Putting in some horses to lay the door on to do the hinge install is good. But if you have a table, or even if you just take the box and lay it on the ground and open it up there, you'll be able to do the install. So you don't need some of these other things. Okay, so we have the two side pieces. The one has the hinges in it, and then this will be the side that the door latches into. And then you'll have the top drip edge piece that goes on top of that. Along with that, they supply you with, these are adjustment pieces that will go on to the end of here and will adjust out to get you to the final length that you need, as well as some additional weather stripping to extend that down past that point. They label everything, all the screws, A, B, C, D, E. Makes it very easy to install. The hinge components here. Now with this particular door, I can't, it's not like a universal door that I can flip around, because this particular door has a window that when you pull the window down, it brings a screen down with it. So that has to remain the top. So with this particular door, they were not able to pre-drill for the hinges. So they supply you with a jig, and it gives you whatever markings that you'll need to use for the holes for your particular hinge. Comes with the hinge. They even supply you with the drill bit, and then this will be the block for the other side, because they will have cut out both sides of the door, so you'll have to block one of them with it. Now, the only thing that I did have to purchase was the door handle, since you might want bronze, you might want black, you might want white, silver. So depending on which ones you want, you do have to purchase those separately. Then you have the bottom sweep and the thing which you just have to install and then cut it to length. And then these are those strips that I took off that just cover up all the screw holes in your main trim pieces so that you won't see the screws. And then this particular door, because it is a pretty heavy door, Comes with a dual plunger system and everything that needs to go in with that, as well as all the instructions. Like I said, the instructions, if you want to use them, which I do recommend, the front side, like I said, is for right hinge installation, and the back side is for left hinge installation. So depending on which way you're installing it, again, like I said with mine, I was up against it. I'm using my right hand to open it, so mine's going to be a right-handed hinge door. So I'm going to be using this side. Okay, so as you can see, I have a few spots there that could use a little paint and a little bit of caulking there. And also on this side, we got a little caulking to do there, and just touch up a little bit on the paint going up the door. One thing. Okay, so we're going to have to do a little bit of painting. So one of the things, you can sit here and mask this off so you don't get this trim piece full of paint. Very easy to just take it, get it loosened up, and it just comes out. And that way you can just take the whole strip out, and allows you to go ahead and do your painting and then just put it back in. All right, guys, we've got everything touched up, cleaned up, and ready to paint. I did a little caulking in there. And a couple things I just want to mention. It's very important to follow the instructions. There's some key instructions, and one of them is this measurement. You want to make sure that your door is on mine is a 36-inch door, so I want it to be between 35 and 7/8 and 36 inches. If the opening is bigger than that, you're going to have to shim the door to get it down to within that range, so that when you put your side trim pieces on and all, that the door is going to sit within those limitations. So we're going to take a look here. We are right at 36, 35 and 15/16. Just take a look at the bottom here. We're at 36 exactly. And then the height has to be between 80 and 81 inches. So we're just going to double check that. And we are at 80 and a half. So we're right in the middle there. So our dimensions are good to install the door without putting in any kind of shims. So the first thing that they suggest putting in is you've got to mark where the door is going to hang. There's a hang spot on the door here, this spot right here. So we got to find out where that is exactly, and then we're going to mark that to put a screw in. They say to push it all the way up and all the way in. So now I'm just going to mark that area. They say to use bag A with the placeholder screw. So this is the screw we're going to use. We don't want to screw it all the way in, because once we have the door attached to this hinge, we're going to be able to come over here, and we want to be able to put this in there. Okay, once we've got the screw in, we leave it out a little bit so that we can get this on, but now we're going to go and attach the door to the hinges, but we want to have that screw there so we can come back and put this on there and be able to hang the door in position to give us the chance to screw it down the rest of the way. So let's go ahead and get this thing attached to the door. So they recommended having the door with the inside facing up. So I've got the inside facing up, and what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to take a couple pieces of tape here, and just for my own reference, I'm going to put a piece of tape here just so I know that this is the bottom of the door, and this is the side that I'm putting the hinge on. So now we need the hinge, and we need bag B, which are hinge rail screws. Now they've pre-drilled holes there, so that way we know where the first one is going to go. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to make sure that all of our hinges are facing out. These are all self-tapping screws. And what we're going to do is we're going to align that first one up with that hole. And we'll just okay. So now our hinge moves freely. Okay, so the next thing that got to do, since, like I said, this door cannot be flipped top to bottom, bottom to top, because of the fact that this window slides down and there's a screen here. So this always has to remain the bottom. So they had to put openings on both sides. So we're just going to close off this side since we won't be needing that. All right, so next we have to install is the bottom piece for this right trim here. So this just goes into here. And for now, we're just going to push it all the way up. And then this will eventually get pulled down to the length that we need it. All right, so now we're ready to go ahead and hang this door. We're going to hang it by this screw hole here, and then we'll attach the rest of the screws. So let's take the door to the house and get that installed. Now we have to install this other piece, but before we do that, we need to add this extension piece onto the bottom. Okay, guys, next what we have to do is install this jig onto this door. Now there's this little notch here that's got to fit right into this little notch here so that everything will be aligned. And then what we're going to be doing is drilling 4 holes. Now, in the instructions, it's not real clear because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 possibilities here. But it wants you to drill the holes in the ones where the word drill is upright. So this is, because this can be used for the left or right hand door, you know, it would depend on which ones you want. So you want to make sure you're drilling the ones that have the word drill in the upright position. So let's get this attached here. Okay, so we're right in that notch with that. So this thing's good, secure. And we're going to drill 3 32nd inch pilot holes before we use the paddle bit. Two, three, four. I do the same on the outside. 1, 2. Now we just got to enlarge these holes with the paddle bits. All right, so now we got to install the latch mechanism. There's a little notch in here that's going to go in here and sit down and lock into that spot. So once we get that in there, slide it down, and we just got to secure that screw there. Okay, so now this is where you'll need that um, your handlebar kit that you purchased separately. And this is going to go through, this is going to be for the deadbolt. So we've got to get that through that like that. And this with the Larson word upwards. Okay, the next piece we have to install is for the door latch to catch onto. Now, as you can see, these two squares are offset from these screws, so you want to make sure that you line it up for the door. So you'd want to bring your door closed, see where the latch is at and where the deadbolt is at to determine which way this is going. In my case, it's going to go on like this. And then this will be able to be adjusted in or out to pull your door tight up against the weather seal. All right, let's give that a try. Okay, so now we've extended this, those pieces down, and we've just got to cut and fit a piece of this weather stripping in there. Okay, so the next piece we're going to attach is the bottom seal. And I usually, what I like to do is run it through a little bit of soapy water. And that way it just makes it go on a lot easier. And it just fits right into this end track here. And then what I'll do is I'll pull it through both sides a little bit. So from the stretching process, it's going to want to shrink back up a little bit. So just work it a little bit. And then you'll want to cut off the excess. Now, what they recommend doing is once you've cut it off is to pinch the end of the metal so that it doesn't work its way one way or the other. I don't seem to have a problem with it moving around. I'm a little more concerned about pinching the metal, and if I ever have to replace this, then going to have to try to bend this back out to get the rubber seal back out. So I don't really like to do that, but that's what they recommend doing. All right, so let's now that we got this in there, we'll take it back to the door. We'll get the excess cut off, and we'll get this attached. So now we've got it down where it's touching the threshold, and just use packet D. So we're going to put packet D, and we're going to put these screws in. Now I've got it to where it's just touching the threshold, so I'm not going to want it to go up anymore. If anything, as time wears a little bit, I might need to push it down. So I want to try to screw towards the bottom of this so that this will allow this to still move down for final adjustment if needed down the road. And again, so you can just see, you put the screw in at the bottom so that the sweep area can go down further as it wears. All right, so the last thing that we got to do here is just install this trim, and this is just going to cover up the screw holes. And I find this is the hardest part of the door install, is getting this trim pieces on here. Okay, guys, well, that wraps up this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and we'll see you on the next video. Take care.